Like, I've always known how cool we are,
Yeah.
but it's something different to see yourself on screen.
Tonight on a special Etalk.
There was a little native girl sitting in front of the TV with her long hair watching it, and it's like, that's why we do it.
It's Devery's moment.
Thinking about that project just always gets me emotional.
Actor, filmmaker, ally. She's the rising talent that catches Marvel's eye twice.
Do you feel like you've made it?
With A-list cheerleaders in her corner.
It's so much scarier because there's more on the line.
Empowering, emotional. How she smashes stereotypes.
There's nothing like it on TV right now.
And crushes self-doubt.
If I listen to my inner voice and the women around me and my ancestors, then I am told that I am enough. Hey, I'm Devery Jacobs, and only Etalk gets you this close.
This is Etalk Presents the Devery Jacobs interview.
Oh my gosh! Hi!
Oh yes. Oops, that was bad. Second sticks. Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Oh my God, Nyawako for having me.
Devery Jacobs, we're celebrating you, but that is your middle name. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself as a producer and filmmaker to our audiences.
Yes, my name's Devery Jacobs, but my full name is actually Kawennáhere Devery Jacobs. It was given to me by my Duda, my name, and it means her word is above, or what I have to say is important, so I'm trying to live up to my name. I've always gone by both names, but it's definitely more of like a personal name for Kawennáhere. And when it comes to acting, I use just Devery, but then when it comes to being a filmmaker and a creative behind the lens and behind the camera, that's when I use my full name.
You're definitely living up to your name. I have to say
thank
that.
you.
Devery Jacobs is a force, and her career is on fire.
Drew Barrymore is somebody who I've idolized for so long, as well as Elliot Page, so I was definitely a little bit starstruck being there. Like, it's so wild.
With starring roles in 2 Marvel TV shows, What If and Echo, her incredible rise and magnetic presence gives us plenty of reason to cheer.
We love you, Dad!
And this writer, filmmaker, and fashion standout gets her start on stage as a 7-year-old munchkin in The Wizard of Oz for the Turtle Island Theater Company.
The industry loves to see overnight successes, but usually that's like 10 years in the making.
These days, Devery is best known for embodying the nurturing ringleader Allura on Taika Waititi and Sterling Harjo's critically acclaimed comedy, Reservation Dogs.
Sounds dope.
But her breakout comes in 2013 with her first leading role in Rhymes for Young Ghouls, a well-loved revenge thriller about residential schools.
We need to figure out a way to get this money back.
Today, Devery toplines and produces Backspot as Riley, a type A cheerleader balancing love, perfectionism, and the pressures of joining an elite squad under coach Evan Rachel Wood's intense supervision.
It was ambitious to think that you could go twice.
I'm very ambitious.
You have the Toronto Backspot premiere, the Special Canadian Screen Award Prize, the Radius Award, joining names like Dan Levy, Maitreyi E, Stefan James, Simu Liu, not to mention the all-star holiday film that you're shooting right now in Atlanta.
Yes.
How are you processing this moment?
Oh my God, I don't know if I actually am processing anything right now, but I think it's just a bit of run and gun. It means so much to be able to take Backspot across the finish line after producing and working on this film for 6.5 years. It means so much to be able to get the Radius Award. I looked at this industry as something that was so much bigger than myself that I would never be able to tap into, let alone have a career in. I remember being at the Canadian Screen Awards and feeling so overwhelmed by the CSAs, and now getting to come back and reflect on how much I've been able to do in my career. I'm just filled with so much gratitude. Now to be on this movie with such a stacked cast is just, it's wild.
Working with these comedy powerhouses, Eva Longoria, Daniel Brooks, Michelle Pfeiffer on Oh, What Fun. What are you learning from them on this shoot, and what can people expect from the film?
Even from the table read, getting to sit next to Michelle Pfeiffer, who, like, I have had such a film crush on for, I couldn't even tell you how long. I was like pinching myself sitting beside her. It makes me want to step my game up to give my best. And she's just so natural and commanding in her work. And it's also a comedy, so it's so fun. And I don't know that audiences have seen just how funny Michelle Pfeiffer is. Audiences can expect to find like a holiday movie that just feels really good. Some people are almost saying that it reminds them of like The Family Stone. And I'm really excited to be working with Michael Showalter, the director. It's been a whirlwind of 3 years with Res Dogs, with Backspot, with all of these projects like Marvel coming to a head. I feel like I'm looking up for the first time and I am thinking like, wow, I am in a very different place than I was 3 years ago. I just feel so grateful. I never could have imagined that this would be my future, and I didn't get here alone.
I want to take you back to 2013.
My name is Kawennáhere Devery Jacobs, and I'm the star in Rhymes for Young Ghouls.
Your first time attending the Toronto International Film Festival as an actor.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Throwback.
I'm literally a small town girl from this little res in Kawennáhere. I'm just like a little hick Mohawk girl. So if they hadn't been supportive of up-and-coming actors, up-and-coming directors, and up-and-coming projects, I wouldn't be here today, and there wouldn't be any of these hidden gems within TIFF.
Oh my gosh, just a baby.
I know. What do you see in that storyteller's eyes?
I think I was full of overwhelm, but also excitement, and I think getting to work on a story that I was really passionate about, Rhymes for Young Ghouls. It was also the first time I had ever worked with an Indigenous writer-director, the late and great Jeff Barnaby. It just means so much. I mean, thinking about that project just always gets me emotional because Jeff and his work and legacy has just meant so much. But yeah, I mean, I was always a dreamer, and I think getting to see how like the strides that I've made, just it means a lot. But I also haven't gotten here alone. It's been thanks to people like Jeff who have uplifted me at every turn, and I think that's a goal that I have in my life, to be able to give back in that way and to leave this industry a better place than when I first came into it.
Absolutely, and I still see the same ambition in Young Devery as I do right now today.
Oh my goodness.
As Indigenous people, I will say we don't recognize borders, but Reservation Dogs changed the landscape in terms of how Indigenous stories are shared globally with American recognition.
This prize is so much bigger than ourselves.
A lot of people were like, no, there's nothing like it on TV right now. That was the moment where I realized, if that's the case, then we've really nailed our community's voices to the best that we can.
What now?
Don't give away my Blue Willow dish set. I'll haunt you.
Getting to see Native people on the main stage in like such a mainstream way, like I've always known how cool we are.
Yeah.
That's always been something that I knew, but it's something different to see yourself on screen, to see your community represented in such a cool way. Like, I can't imagine what that would have done for me as a kid growing up in my community.
Right, like at the Emmys, Seth Meyers,
Oh my God, all
and
over.
all these mainstream like American spaces is huge.
Yeah.
Would you say that the industry in Canada is more progressive than America?
I don't know. The difference I've found between the US and Canada is that in Canada, it seems there's more outright prejudice and racism against Native folks because we are more visible on the main stage.
Yeah.
Versus in the US, I think Native folks are invisible. And I don't know if they can be compared. By having these conversations and by showing people for who we are as modern day people as opposed to ancient relics, I think that only will help our communities and see us for the humans that we are.
Wow, absolutely. I didn't expect that, but it's true. And after spending 2 seasons in that writer's room for Reservation Dogs. How did that help nurture your voice?
Getting to be welcomed into that space was something that really meant a lot to me. I was the actor who would come with notes and ideas because I just felt so impassioned.
Yeah.
And when season 2 came along, I was only supposed to be there for a few weeks, but that turned into a few more, turned into me writing an episode with Sterling and then writing my own episode, which is Alora's dad in season 3.
I'm not a perfect person, you know.
I mean, nobody's saying you have to be perfect.
And how did it feel to see your words come to life?
It feels way more vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's so much scarier because there's more on the line, there's more of yourself in there.
Yeah.
And that's also why I use my full name, Kawennáhere Devery Jacobs, when I'm writing or when I'm directing.
I guess my question is, in my eyes and in audience's eyes, you've made it. Do you feel like you've made it?
Maybe in some ways because I'm able to like be considered for roles that I wasn't considered for before. If I were to like look back at that young Devery who was at TIFF in 2013, in their eyes I would have said, yeah, I've made it at this point. It's funny when you're in the middle of it because it feels like my everyday self who was the same person 3 years ago, and I'm still like a nerd who is a homebody who likes to cook in my underwear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a nerd. For me, it's just about the stories that I want to continue telling.
Yeah, and your purpose.
That's right.
Let's go back to Backspot.
They're down 3 more girls. It's a massacre.
Okay, well, don't look so excited about that.
You're producing Backspot.
Yeah, I'm starting from this grounded foundation, being able to feel a sense of confidence that I didn't have before.
Having Elliot be a part of Backspot, we wouldn't have been able to make this without him. Myself and D.W. Watterson, our production company, Night is Why, is in Toronto. So many people leave to LA, but we want to be able to like stay here and foster the talent here.
I can do anything.
I mean, it's incredible to be compared to Black Swan. I've also heard Whiplash.
Oh my gosh, we idolize him so much. It's like the paradigm of showing art and craft and sportsmanship in one.
I mean, it's a huge compliment. Those are some of my favorite films, Black Swan and Whiplash.
We definitely touch on similar themes, but we have a much more lighthearted approach to it.
It's a nice combo of like Black Swan, Whiplash, Bend It Like Beckham, and Center Stage.
And also in the world of competition, that there is room for that humanity and that connection as well.
For us, it was important that we made this love letter to the sport of cheerleading and queer communities.
But Backspot overcomes several barriers before nailing its red carpet landing.
At South by Southwest, you spoke about how the film lost a funding opportunity because the funder didn't understand why the lead was Indigenous. What did you learn from that experience?
I think I learned from hearing that from that funder that it was a really narrow view of who Native people are, and that if we're not talking about our intergenerational trauma and how it impacts us now, that it's not verifiably justified, or that it's not like a Native story.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily an Indigenous movie. The story's by D.W. Watterson, who is a queer director, who's a non-binary director, who is an incredible voice and force. And they're not Indigenous, and it's through their story. And I'm also a queer person, so for me, I view Backspot as a queer film first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then to diminish it, to say, we don't understand why this character is Indigenous, it felt kind of like a slap in the face, and just diminished all of the hard work that we had put into this film.
But like, why would it matter? Like, I'm just so mind blown.
So I used to be a competitive gymnast. I'm queer. I didn't go to like gymnastics meets and people be like, why are you Native? Like,
it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. We're modern day people. We live in suburbs sometimes. We are athletes. We're queer. We can be all of these things, and it doesn't negate our nativeness.
Absolutely. Our Indigenous communities are incredibly diverse. There's no one size fits all when it comes to our identities, and you've experienced this with the Backspot funding. How do we challenge Indigenous stereotypes in Hollywood?
I really believe that by telling stories that interest us and stories that we need to see is really the way that will humanize us and move the conversation forward. I think one of the really great things about Reservation Dogs is that we weren't holding people's hands through it. We were just telling stories for our own communities and they had to play catch up. And I think that ends up resonating more. I am just interested in telling stories from my communities, from my queer community, from my Mohawk community, from the Indigenous communities, who tell stories for the people we love and stories that we needed to see growing up. So often it's women and queer folks, and especially Indigenous women, who are really carrying our communities forward, fostering this space for these future generations to come in.
And that leads me right into my next question. As Indigenous women in this industry, there is a big importance in standing in solidarity with one another. You posted about Lily Gladstone's Oscar nomination and wrote, "No one does it like Indian women." When you see Lily getting her flowers or on the Cannes jury, what does that represent to you? How do her wins open doors?
Oh my gosh, there was like a meme that made me so emotional when she was on her Oscar run, and I think it was an image of her on the TV, and then there was a little Native girl sitting in front of the TV with her long hair watching it, and it's like, that's why we do it. If you see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
And I think, and it made me like so emotional to see, because Lily is just like the most deserving person of all of these flowers.
Now, going back to talking about nurturing your voice, you had to learn ASL for your role in Echo. What benefits did you experience from learning to communicate in this way?
I mean, I'm still learning ASL. It's an incredible way to have access into a community and culture that I wouldn't normally have. And I've become friends with Alakwa. I've become friends with Katerina Zervogel, who plays her mom, and it really helped connect us. There's something really beautiful about being able to communicate without use of your voice. Even in Backspot, I'm like, give me no lines. I'm like, I like to express it all without saying anything.
I find that in the entertainment industry, certain spaces can feel very lonely, and you've been navigating this industry as both a queer and Indigenous person. How do you overcome those feelings of self-doubt?
I think there was a moment in time where I realized that the feelings of inferiority complex that I had weren't actually my own. It was the voice of people making me feel like I was a diversity hire, and spaces that weren't necessarily the safest of places. And so I created a little cheat sheet for myself to remind myself and have some validations that while the system wasn't set up for people like me, that it's my responsibility to help change it so that it is a more welcome space for queer people, for Native people. Having that like greater mission is something that helps keep me focused on why we're doing this, as opposed to feeling like I might not be enough. Because if I listen to my inner voice and the women around me and my mentors and ancestors, then I am told that I am enough.
That's beautiful. How do you create the change in that space?
The best thing that we can do, and what the industry's done forever, has been to like hire your friends. There's something about creating with your community that creates such a shorthand, and that you're able to come together and create something bigger. Whenever I see an Indigenous creative in the industry, even you, and getting to interview with you today, it's like you kind of hang on to each other until you see another person in the industry who's also doing that work.
It was just getting goosebumps, like tears in my eyes. It's an amazing moment, and I'm so excited that we're both here.
Oh my God, and it's amazing like what you've been able to do. But like, I'm so proud of you, and like everybody we see coming up. It's just so wild that like none of this was happening when we were coming up.
I know, and you're leading the way. I'm such a huge fan of your fashion.
Oh, Canadian designer Hillary McMillan. I'm wearing head-to-toe Valentino tonight.
Canadian tuxedo
Denim on
day.
denim. I'm wearing Bach Mai tonight. Uncuffed leather, who did the harness. You know, gotta represent. The vibe is excitement.
Okay, let's talk about this one.
Okay, that one was just very recently. I am wearing Look by Karina Emmerich, who is an Indigenous designer.
Love her. And
Oh my goodness. This was for the AFI Awards, the first year that Reservation Dogs was ever a recipient of the award, and the look was by Helen Anthony. It felt like a Matador kind of outfit, and I wasn't mad at it. I wore this look for the Echo premiere, and so I wanted to incorporate some Choctaw designs and give a nod to Oklahoma, which was the part of the world that we were set in for Echo. And that was by Rose Cut Clothing. It was a custom nudie suit.
Wow.
Some of the swirls and the suns, there's some diamonds on the side. And on the back, there was ECHO, which is for echo in sign language. Oh, I love this one of me and Lily. I had a chance to wear Jay Okuma's designs. She created a custom look for that event. I just felt so badass in it.
And this one.
This one I styled myself. It was just a fun look that I got from Steen Goya. And I had some beaded earring Helen Oro designs.
Oh my gosh, I love Helen.
Yes, it was Helen Oro designs matching with the little jewel bursts.
I love Helen, and I saw that you wore one of her
chest piece.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so beautiful.
I want to make a cheers to the incredible year that you've been having so far. And I want to do it in a way as if we are visiting, you know, the famous burger spot in Reservation Dogs.
Okay.
And Sonic.
We couldn't, you know, get those burgers, but they are from a local burger place down the street.
Oh, great, I love this. Are we like chowing down? Is that what we're doing here?
We'll cheers. We'll cheers our burgers here. Let's go like this.
Okay, cheers.
You are amazing. Keep it up.
Oh my God, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Like the video? Then hit the button, or better yet, drop us a comment. Then check out our latest videos here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button here for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news.